Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Sparesbox. Today we're back on the S13 Silvia. It runs, we're stoked, it's all working. So we're starting to get to the end of the process now. So today we're going to be doing a lot of little fiddly housekeeping stuff, like simple things like putting an air filter on. We're going to put the bonnet on. We're going to put some bonnet pins in, but we're also got a refueling setup that I've come up with in my head because the filler cap is quite close to the parcel shelf recess. So we're going to set up basically an in-boot pump system to be able to refuel the car without pulling half the car apart. So we're got plenty of little housekeeping stuff today, but we'll hopefully be able to show you guys some cool ideas and tips. Now that we're at the pointy end of the build, obviously it's not starting to look a lot different, but things are still happening in the background. Last time you guys would have seen the car, we didn't have a rad support, so I've basically fabbed up this whole rad support. It's made out of 20mm box tube and just some 2mm plate that I had lying around. So just folded up some radiator tabs and then it actually goes down to the lower rad support and ties into that. As part of that, we've mounted the power steering cooler, which is all in the front here, nicely plumbed. And that just is plumbed into the return side of the power steering system. Our power steering now also works. We've got that Astra pump wired up properly. It's all working well. The one thing I do currently have set up is it's on the accessory circuit. So we're going to change that to constant power, because if the car stalls currently, you lose power steering for about 20 seconds while it sort of spools up again. So obviously being a track car, you can't really have power steering just not working if you spin out or whatnot. So being a drift car, it is going to spin out sooner or later with one of us driving it. So having power steering available constantly is a must. We've done the accelerator cable. That was just a DIY kit we bought online. It was just basically a cable sheath with a long piece of cable that wasn't terminated on the pedal end. So we basically just put in the throttle body, got the cable length correct, got the sheath length correct, got the inner cable length correct, then crimped it at the pedal end. It's pretty simple. The kits are about $100, and it does let you run any amount of cable length you want. Like, we basically cut the thing in half, and it's still about 1200mm long or 4 and a bit foot long. So it's there's plenty of optimization for your setup depending on how you want to do it. So, but yeah, it's starting to come together, and now we're just going to crack back into it and start finishing off other stuff that needs to be done. This is the pod filter that we've chosen for the Silvio. It's the BMC filter. We use these a fair bit. We've got one on the ICE 200, which is the carbon shrouded airbox style filter. This is just the typical open pod filter that we're going to just install in the bay. There's plenty of speed holes in the front of the car already, so it's not going to be drawing hot air that you typically see with an unshrouded pod filter. These are readily available through Sparesbox and Premier Auto Trade. We're going to leave a link in the description to our Sparesbox landing page, and these will be on there. So if you guys are interested in finding out more, check out the link in the description. It's like a glove. You can see we've gone for the rare vented Nismo S13 bonnet as opposed to the normal one. Luckily they have one that suits the Eaton M122 with a VH45, so this was just an off-the-shelf thing we picked up the other day. Lol! We've got our holes marked out in the radiator support where we're going to drill for our bonnet pins. It's surprising the amount of times that people drill through wiring harnesses, myself included, in radiator support. So what we're going to do now is cut the cable ties that are securing the harness. So then when we do drill the holes, it's out of the way and we're not going to go punching through brand new wiring that we're going to have to repair later. We've got our pins mounted to the radiator support now. We're actually going to use this to mark the bonnet so that we know roughly where we've got to cut the outer skin. We have cut the frame out entirely now. Realistically, it wasn't doing much anyway, so decided quickly just to whip it out. I will cut it out properly later and tidy it right up, but for now it gives us the room to be able to install these pins. Adam's going to paint this thing at some point anyway, so we'll no doubt be tidying up stuff along the way. So we'll bring this down now and see where our pins end up.
Oh, there's no bog in this, Sylvia. Bro, look how thick the bog is.
When you drill your Sylvia, like white powder comes out of it normally, doesn't it? Oh, not the Nismo bonnet. Someone's bogged up the Nismo bonnet. I hate it when that happens. At least it's not an old logo Nismo bonnet though. Got our bonnet pin installation all done now. The one thing we don't yet have is a bonnet catch. We are going to put the factory Nissan catch in just for the safety aspect of it. We're not going to use the actual cable side of it. But the one thing I do want to do is actually make these tabs a lot more visible so that if you're in the driver's seat, you know that these aren't locked down. So to do that, I've got some emergency reflective tape. So we're just going to stick them on the top surface of the catch, so that you can see if these are up, and they're actually going to act like flags. So in the driver's seat, you'll be able to see that these are visible if the bonnet's not locked down, so you don't go blatting down the straight and the bonnet comes up and smashes the windscreen and the roof and all the fun times. So it'll be a nice little added safety aspect. This is our fill pump that we're going to use. It's actually one of the old pumps from the Cresta, so a lot of this stuff that we're about to use is going to be recycled from the Cresta or other stuff that we've had lying around. So this is the questionable pump that we were running in the car. This one had a lot higher resistance than the other ones. However, it does still work for pumping fuel like a transfer pump. So I think it'll be fine for this setup. However, I wouldn't be using it in a high pressure EFI setup. The other two of these pumps have actually now gone down to Harry Hollass Garage. It's going to be in their Turbo LS Falcon project. So good to see some of the parts being recycled from the Cresta and still being used in other race cars. So it's good to try and keep stuff going rather than tuck it in boxes or drawers or sit it in the corner for a rainy day. But today is the proverbial rainy day, so we're going to be using up all these bits and more to make up a secondary fuel pump. There is one part that we're going to use in this system that's brand new, and it's kind of the key to it. This is the Raceworks quick release or dry brake fuel fitting. You can also use them for oil or other fluid transfer applications, but this is basically going to mean that when we're not using this pump for fueling, it's actually a sealed system, so there's going to be no fuel leaking or venting from the pump side. So that's good news for us, that it's not going to be pouring fuel out of the back of the car, but that'll make it nice and simple. And all we're going to do is basically put a fitting, probably a 90 degree, and then some hose off the end of it that we can just put straight into an E85 drum, and that'll then pump straight into the fuel cell. So that'll be a nice simple little setup, and it'll mean we don't have to struggle trying to get the fuel cell full via a jerry can into the boot directly, and it'll also avoid potential fuel spills or fires in the boot as well. So as much as it's a convenience thing, it's also a bit of a safety thing. I've got our pump in and mounted, and I've just wired it up. I'll be honest, I did actually think of doing this a couple of weeks ago. So when Nathan was in the back here wiring up the rear fuse and relay box, I had him wire up another output and another relay that was, it was actually the last spare spot in the rear fuse box. That was pretty lucky. But what I've had him do is wire up a momentary switch in here so that you're just holding it. So the second, basically like dead man switch. So the second you let it go, that turns the pump off. And the way that we're going to fill it up is basically to remove the original filling plug and just sight the fuel going in so we can see when it's full, let go, and we don't spill fuel everywhere. So like I said before, as well as it being a convenience thing, it's also a safety thing. That's our siphon line. So like I said before, we got our quick connect, go straight on the pump. We've now finished all of our secondary fuel pump setup, and all that sort of stuff's done now. So the last thing to do in the rear is our breather. This is just like an old school style breather that people used to make primarily for older drag cars and other sort of motorsports vehicles. This is actually just the Dash 6 aluminium hardline, the same stuff we use as the fuel line. However, I've actually coiled it up and just put a couple of fittings on each end. So this will now screw straight to the cell, and then we're just going to run this out the back of the vehicle away from exhausts or tyres or things like that. But for now, we're literally just going to screw this on, and we'll just plumb this off later off camera, because you guys have seen plenty of me plumbing stuff. So this is the last thing to do, and then we're done in the boot. Well, with any build, it's the last 10% of the stuff that actually takes the most time. You think you've pretty much got the thing done, the engine's in, it's running, but now it's all the little accessory stuff like your bonnet catchers and the fuel pump setup and all these little things that you feel like you've achieved the milestone of it running, but then it's like, oh, now the car's actually got to function properly. So we've had a pretty good day of all these fiddly little bits, and it's one step closer to getting on the track. Next episode will most likely be putting the rest of the front end together. We've got some brand new front guards coming. We do need to make another crash bar for it because we don't have the OEM bumper reinforcement crash bar. So I'm just going to make that out of box tube, and then we'll use pool noodles to mount the bumper bar more or less. But yeah, that'll basically tie the car back together aesthetically. After that, we do need to attack some suspension stuff still. We've got some arms and all other bits and pieces to go in. We've also got another rear diff to go in it because this one's just got really tight viscous LSD. But yeah, in future we're going to be putting a plated LSD in, which is from an R32 GTST. So it's got the 5x1 shafts instead of the 6x2 shafts, which it has now. So we've got different shafts. As far as the rear end goes, I think the only rear arms we're putting in is going to be camber arms. But the front, we're probably going to look at doing more of a drift-orientated big lock setup, which is more or less complete front replacement setup. So we'll be bringing that to you guys as soon as it arrives. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.